Good morning, friends. I think I'll first welcome you guys to Bharadwaj Institute. This is for your SCMP batch, which we are targeting for November 21 exams. But as such, the classes are not going to be applicable only for November 21. It will be applicable for even May 22, November 22, be it May 23, November 23. It will be applicable for the set of exams which are going to happen even after that. Only few set of people would be for your November 21 exams, because SCMP is normally taken well ahead of time. You don't take it in the last 6 months. A lot of people take it in the 18 months before. Some of them even take it 24 months before. So the classes are not only applicable for the recent exams, it is going to be applicable for even your latest set of exams which are going to come in. Today I'll first introduce you to the subject of this SCMPE, explain you few rules as far as my classes are concerned. Most of you know me, most of you have attended my sessions in either CA Inter, or you would have got introduced to me through SFM classes. For some of you I could be new as well, but I'll explain the ground rules which will follow as far as classes are concerned and what needs to be done as far as the subject is concerned. Now I'll first spend maybe 15 to 20 minutes on the subject to explain you what needs to be done in the subject, how is it different from your other set of subjects which are there, and also how is it different from the erstwhile costing which used to be there. Earlier it used to be called as advanced management accounting. Now it is called strategic cost management and performance evaluation. So what is the change which you are going to see as far as that subject is concerned, and this subject is there. Also, what is needed from a preparation point of view. Now what has happened at CA final is this SCMPE is combination of you could have learnt a subject called as cost and management accounting at CA Inter. You could have learnt about cost and management accounting at CA Inter, and you would have learnt about something called as strategic management. You would have learnt about strategic management. These are two subjects which you would have learnt at CA Inter, or be it CA IPCC. If you are from CA IPCC route also, you would have learned cost and financial management and strategic management. Costing and SM have been combined together and called as a subject called SCMPE. In that, PE is something extra addition. So it's technically three subjects: costing, SM and performance evaluation. These three things have been combined together and has become a subject called as SCMPE. In strategic management, you could have learnt about items like Porter's analysis. All of that you're going to see here. Porter's analysis is something which is going to be part of your syllabus. I'm not sure if you had got introduced to something called as value chain analysis, but some of the concepts which you would have learnt there, something like your benchmarking, performance innovation, process innovation, if any of those things you would have got introduced there. Business process re-engineering. Okay, one of the student has messaged me saying that he is not able to hear me. Others are able to hear me. Can you confirm you're able to hear me? Either type in the chat box or reply to the audio.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think whoever has typed that the name is not visible, I would just suggest you just log out and log in again. You should be able to hear the audio. Okay, now as far as the subject is concerned, I said it's a combination of cost and management accounting and strategic management. So you're going to learn whatever you learnt under strategic management, which also makes SCMP as 50% problems plus 50% theory. It's a paper which has a good amount of theory component. I don't want to hide this fact in class 1 itself. I want you to have that mindset that theory is extremely critical as far as SCMP is concerned. Theory is something which cannot be ignored, and it's not that I want you to buy hard theory and all, but you will have to have understanding of theory and apply them. It's called application theory. What is application theory? You'll understand as we proceed, but this is a subject where you will have problems, you will also have good amount of theory. In fact, what I'm going to discuss is I'm going to discuss lots and lots of case studies. In exams, case studies come, and case studies are not often repeated. They are new set of case studies which will keep coming in exam. So case studies will be one of the major focus area as far as my classes are concerned. In fact, the paper, I think it started in November 2018. This is what I remember. I think November or May 2018. Your new syllabus started either in May 2018 or November 2018. I don't remember it exactly. First paper, ICI went ahead and asked 80% problem and 20% case studies. When I say case studies, it's basically theory. When I say case study, it's basically theory. Then came May 2019. They shifted it slightly, made it as 60% problems. These are broad numbers. Exact numbers I don't remember as of now. Broadly, this is what happened. Then November 2019, they ended up even making it as 50-50. And your recent set of exams, obviously May 2020 did not happen, but your November 2020 or January 2021, all those papers I could see almost equal weightage for practical areas and an equal weightage for case studies. Earlier, what I used to do in my classes is I used to spend 2.5 hours for practical area and then half an hour for case studies. That's what we used to do because we used to combine theory and practical area together. Later on, that half an hour became 1 hour. In the previous session, in fact, not even 1 hour, some of the classes were only dedicated to case studies. So because taking 3 hours of theory will become very, very difficult, because if I teach you for 3 hours of theory, you will also find it a little difficult to absorb. I'll also find it difficult to teach theory for 3 hours. So we're going to mix theory and practical areas, because practical areas makes it easy for us to move ahead, and then later on when I move to theory, it becomes easier for you to absorb. Normally I take theory in the end, or I take theory in the beginning. I start with theory based area in the first 1 hour, or I take it in the last 1 hour. Though 50% is for case study and 50% is for problems. From time spent in my classes, you'll see 60 to 65% of time, 60 to 65% of time will be on problems. 35 to 40% of the time would be on theory and case studies. That's how the time will be spent as far as classes is concerned. It's not that I'm giving lesser weightage to case studies, just that the case studies can get quickly closed. A practical based question will take me 45 minutes to complete some of the question. Some of the question will even take 1 hour to complete. A case study will not take me more than 15 to 20 minutes. Doing a detailed discussion, explaining you all the concepts related to case studies will not take me more than 20 minutes. Rarely we have seen a 30-minute kind of a case study. So that's why case studies, though, will be giving equal amount of weightage from an exam point of view also. But what is from a time point of view, it may take slightly lesser amount of time as compared to your practical areas. The most important thing which I want to make it very, very clear to you is it is a combination of a practical as well as a theory paper. It is not something like which you would have learnt at CA Inter, where I have told people to ignore theory. Even in old syllabus, CA final old syllabus, advanced management accounting, I used to tell students to ignore theory because theory used to be a choice question. Even in SFM, I used to tell people to ignore theory in old syllabus. When it has come to new syllabus, ICI somewhere wants you to learn theory. Somewhere wants you to learn theory. Some of the theory concepts you may have to remember as it is and reproduce in exam. Some of them you will have to understand and apply it in exam, because even in SFM, theory is compulsory for you to attend for 15-20 marks now. Earlier it was a choice question. Now it's a compulsory question to attend for 15 to 20 marks. So every subject, somewhere the theory focus has been enhanced as far as the new syllabus is concerned. Whenever the new syllabus, I don't remember, it got introduced in May 2018 or November 2018. From there onwards, ICI has started doing this, which is logical. Okay, now this is one part. Second part, as far as classes is concerned, I would be covering major chunk of the areas in the classes. I'll obviously give some of them as homework. I would anticipate you to complete those homework sums along with me. If you do it along with me, it will make sure that you are completing your preparation along with the classes. So another important requirement from your side is complete classes along with me. A challenge which students face is they are not regular for the classes, be it live online or on the recorded mode. Some of you, because I do give a backup of recorded videos, and some of the students who have not are not attending today's class have taken my recorded videos as well. So what happens is, in the recorded videos or in the live online, because I'm not seeing you, I don't want you to miss out on classes. It's a it's a rule that you'll have to get up at 6 a.m. Do my classes for 3 hours. For live online, there's a fixed schedule. For recorded mode also, you make a fixed schedule and keep doing classes along with me. And when I complete today's class, if I give you some homework, please find time and complete the homework. If you're not completing homework, things will pile up, and at final level you will find it difficult later on. So I don't want you to pile up things and struggle with this in the end. So along with me, make notes, along with me do your homework problems, along with me do your preparation, along with me write test. I'll also be keeping some amount of tests which are self-evaluation. You will have to write the test and evaluate on your own. I'll give you some key and you will have to evaluate. Obviously I will not be able to evaluate some 40-50 papers, so that's why I do it as on a self-evaluation mode. But I'll give you paper, I'll also give you key, I'll also tell you the process about tests later, so I'll discuss about that later on. So in today's class, the basic intro I want to give you is SCMP is a combination of theory as well as a practical paper. That's the most important part. Now, as far as my classes are concerned, most of you would have received a book called as Volume 1 and Volume 2. Most of you would have received a Volume 1 and Volume 2. Along with that, we were to give something called as a class workbook. I have not been able to print this because of sudden lockdown being announced, and after that we couldn't get it printed. So this would not have reached anyone. I'll make sure this reaches you once the lockdown opens and you get a material. I have shared the soft copy of this in the WhatsApp group. Also, another material called as SCMP additions to edition 3. The something called as additions to edition 3. The volume 1 and volume 2 which you would have got, most of you would have got an edition 3 book. The edition would have been mentioned in, just a minute, yeah, it would have been mentioned in page 2. Most of you would have got a third edition book. Some of you, I think maybe 1 or 2 max, would have received a edition 4 book. Edition 4, which is basically not finalized as of now. We just got one copy of edition 4, which is an advanced edition as compared to the third edition. Only 1 or 2 of you would have got that edition, but most of you would have got a third edition. Now this volume 1 and volume 2 is a reference book, which I'll be touching upon at few places. So some of you could have third edition, some of you could have fourth edition, so the page numbers and other things can slightly change. I would want you to adjust with that, because what I want to do is, this is more of a reference book. Mostly I'll be using this, the class workbook. What is there in class workbook is only questions, that's all. The class workbook will have only questions. The answers to this will either be in your third edition or fourth edition. If it's the third edition, the question number will exactly match. If it's the fourth edition, the question number can slightly change. Maybe here it is question number 1. If you have got the fourth edition, there it could be question number 2. Sometimes it can be question number 1. Some of you could have got edition 4, which is more of an advanced edition. My admin team could have sent fourth edition to few set of people. It's not that that's a problem for you. It should not be seen as a hindrance. But most of you would have got a third edition. So if you have a third edition, you will be able to match the question. Anyway, for people who would have got third edition, I will have to give you this also, which is called as SCMP additions. SCMP additions, I normally try to keep it like this. Your third edition covers RTP till November 2020, suggested answers till November 2019, mock test papers till November 2020. These are the items which are included in edition 3. These are the items which are included in edition 3. By the time I had printed the edition, I had got these from ICAI. ICAI has recently released an item called as Case Study Digest. What is this Case Study Digest and all? You need not bother as of now, but this is a recent item which was released by ICAI. It's not there in volume 1 and volume 2, which you may be having. Then they released a May 21 RTP, May 21 MTP, November 2020 suggested answers. Now, why am I explaining all of this? Some of the people had attended my classes in November 2019. For them, I had given this edition 1. But what I have been doing always is, those people who attended the classes in November 2019 are maybe writing their exams now. It's not that they need to worry about the additional set of material. Whatever is additionally released, I keep releasing them as like this: edition 1 additions, edition 2 additions, this is the edition 3 addition. I'm going to come with an edition 4, and on edition 4 also there could be some additions which ICA will keep releasing. So if you are using edition 3 and assume I have released edition 5 or edition 6, by the time you write exams, by the time you write your exams, if I have gone ahead and released 2 or 3 more editions, what you should do is, you should cover all those additional material which I keep releasing. You should cover all those additional material which I'll keep releasing. Why I'm also explaining this is to tell you need not refer your ICI study material, you need not refer ICI RTP, you need not refer suggested answers, you need not refer any additional case studies which they release, any additional case scenarios which they release. Everything which is there in ICI study mat and other resources will form part in my book, along with some additional areas will also be there. But whatever you see in ICI sources will be there in the book which you have, the volume 1 and volume 2, every book which I release. So your volume 1 and volume 2 will have something like this, totally 564 question, and at the end it will tell you what it covers. This includes coverage till November 2020 RTP, November 2020 MTP, November 2019 suggested, practice manual of old syllabus, study material of new and old syllabus, latest study material of new syllabus issued by ICI is also covered in this book. So whatever is covered will be mentioned here. Whatever additional material are there, I'll keep releasing them in my Telegram group. It's not there in the WhatsApp group. I'll keep releasing it in my Telegram group. I'll send a link of my Telegram group in also in the WhatsApp group which we have. So you can join that Telegram group, where whenever additions are there, as of now, whatever additions are there is covered in this material, So you are kind of covered till whatever ICI has released till November 2020 suggested. After this material was prepared, ICI went ahead and released something called as Jan 2021 suggested. That's not there in this material. I may add this in the material at some point of time and share it with you guys. So whenever I add it, I'll share it with you guys. But I normally wait for ICI to release one RTP, one MTP and one suggested. Once that is released, I add it as a material and give it to you. ICI have been like this, added certain stuff, and they have kept on adding a lot of things. So in fact, what is this case study digest is, ICI has released a material with 50 case studies. They have released a material with 50 case studies. Case studies are application theory question. They're technically application theory question. So this is as far as the materials are concerned. Most of you will get volume 1 and would have got volume 1 and volume 2 of edition 3. Some people would have got edition 4, which is in fact good. If you have got edition 4, you're getting the latest material. If you're getting edition 3, it doesn't mean that you are impacted by it, because I'm going to anyway share the additional material which is there, which will come to you. I'll send a print, we'll send a hard copy of this once the lockdown opens and we are able to print it. So that is as far as the material is concerned. People who are yet to get a material, you can manage with soft copy for few days. I think most of you should get material in this week. There are a set of people who have joined in the last 3-4 days. For them I could not send the material till now, so we'll be sending another lot of material today or tomorrow, so you should get the material and you'll be able to manage it. This is as far as the subject intro is concerned, how we are going to go about with the subject, what we are covering, and also an assurance to use that everything of ICI material is covered. Everything of ICAI material is covered in my book. Now I'll be moving on to the subject. When I say subject, I'll be moving on to a topic of discussion. But before that, anyone wants to ask anything or any doubt you have, do let me know. Otherwise, I move to the subject. If at all you want to ask anything on the material, anything on the approach which we are going to do for the class, anything you have, let me know. Otherwise, I proceed to the class. Okay. So I assume you don't have anything to ask at this point of time. Also, one more thing I want to say, our classes will be on this Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday pattern. Sunday classes will be there. Some of the Sunday classes may get cancelled. I have planned your classes for 4.5 months. 4.5 months broadly gives me, just give me a minute. Broadly gives me, if I take for entire 4.5 months, if I take for entire 4.5 months without any cancellation, I get 230 hours of classes. 230 hours of classes is possible if I take for 4.5 months. I know the challenges which are there at my end sometimes. Your SCMP classes in the previous batches have been for 150 to 160 hours. Last batch was 170 hours. This batch I see it to be 180. This batch I see it to be around 180 hours. So there is some amount of flexibility which I have created in the schedule. So if things don't get cancelled, if there are cancellation of classes, which will happen sometimes, I will not say there will be major cancellation because of technology issues. We have seen in the previous batch internet issues cancelling few of the classes. So because of that, I have created some cushion. If there are no major cancellation of classes, your classes may get over even by September 15 types. They may get over by September 15. September 30 is a hard stop. It will not go beyond September 30. Classes will not go beyond September 30. I'll surely complete by that time. That's what we have been doing. Irrespective of what happens, even if there are some challenges, we somehow try to manage them. That's where we have built some flexibility of 15-20% of the time. Your classes will be for around 180 hours. Some Sundays may get cancelled if there are anything, but at this point of time I don't see Sunday getting cancelled anyway. With the lockdown and other things, there will not be any commitments, so I don't see any kind of cancellation happening in the classes, at least for the next 15-20 days. Only thing is tech issues, internet issues, if at all they come, they can lead to some challenges. Okay, now coming to the subject, we have 12 chapters in your book. If you go through your ICI material, it will talk about 12 chapters. And there would have been a small note. It will have 12 chapters, and there would have been a small note which says linear programming and learning curve understanding is also needed for the students. It will be there when you look at your syllabus. It will say linear programming and learning curve application should be known to students. Some comment like this would be there in the syllabus which ICI has released. Because of this, what happened is there will be a chapter 13 and chapter 14 called as learning curve and linear programming. These two chapters are not there in ICI study material, but application of those chapters is there in chapter 7, chapter 6, chapter 9, chapter 12. Somewhere application of those techniques is added as part of few of the chapters, So chapter 13 as well as 14 will be there. This is an additional material. You do not see chapter 13 and 14 in this because no additional questions were there. No new questions were released by ICA, so maybe I would not have added them. But you will have 15 chapters in my book. ICI material will have 13 chapters. Chapter 13 is case studies for ICA. It's one-to-one mapping. I have not tried to change anything. I have kind of done one-to-one mapping as far as the material is concerned. Okay, now this is your syllabus. Introduction on SCM is pure theory based chapter. It's purely a theory based chapter. You will not see any kind of practical questions in this. It will be fully theory area, not predominant, 100% theory area. Every chapter, what I have planned to do is, I plan to split the chapter into multiple subsections. So for example, introduction to SCM could have been split as one introduction to SCM. Then there's something called as Porter's analysis, value chain analysis. There's something called as value shop model. So I have split this chapter into multiple sub-chapters, multiple subtopics. Introduction to SCM, value chain analysis. Strategic framework for value chain analysis is nothing but your Porter's 5 force analysis. Vision, mission and objectives. Something like this vision, mission and all you could have learnt as part of strategic management. We may be seeing them again here. So what I will be doing in the classes is, I may pick some topic from chapter 6, suddenly move to some topic from chapter 1, suddenly move to some topic from chapter 4, suddenly move to some topic from chapter 6. It is not that there is a predetermined order I have in my mind. I don't have an order. I keep changing it because I want to mix a theory based area with a problem based area. If I start today with chapter 1, which will go maybe for 2 classes or maybe 1.5 classes, and discuss only theory, you will not be able to proceed beyond a point, because reading only theory continuously becomes difficult. So maybe I'll pick some problem based area from chapter 2 or 3 or 4 and club it with something in chapter 1. Maybe I'll just pick a small area from chapter 1, club it and do it. So that's how our classes will be. Every chapter has been split into multiple subtopics. This is a combination of theory and practical, predominantly theory. Your chapter 5 is predominantly theory. Decision making is 90% practical, 10% theory. 90% practical, 10% theory. Pricing decision is theory come practical. This is theory come practical. Predominantly practical, some part of theory can be there. This is predominantly, okay, this is combination. This is only theory. This is predominantly practical. Case studies is obviously theory based. So every chapter will have some part of theory, some part of practical based area. Your 15 chapters have been split, I think, into some 60 or 65 topics, 65 subtopics we have split. Focus will be on completing those subtopics. The focus will be on completing every subtopic. When I start one subtopic, I'll complete that subtopic fully. It's not that I will try to mix multiple subtopics and not complete a subtopic. I'll try to complete one subtopic fully, or at best I'll mix 2 subtopics together to have a practical and theory flavor. Together, we may mix 2 subtopics. Otherwise, it is going to be focus, or the focus will be on theory as well as practical areas. That's one thing. The focus in the class, you will see 2 hours of practical based area and 1 hour of theory based area every day. Please don't miss the class. A lot of students, because of their articleship commitments and other commitments, try to move out of the class by around 8:30 or 8:45. Because it's live online, I don't see those challenges being there. So attend the entire class for 3 hours, complete whatever homework I say, so that you are completing SCMP along with me. With one thing which I want to say, everything of ICI resources is covered in my class. I am able to tell this with confidence. Earlier I never used to give this confidence in my batches, because earlier when I say 2 years back, I had not written a book on SCMP. But the moment I had published a book on SCMP, I can confidently tell you everything of ICI resources is covered, which indirectly means I don't want you to go through multiple places and confuse yourself. A lot of students end up confusing themselves by referring multiple material. Worst case, you want to do an audit of what I have done, you want to check something, please refer ICI study material. Nothing beyond that. Nothing beyond ICI study material. Today I'm going to move to an area in chapter 6. In chapter 6 called as relevant costing. In chapter 6 we have a small area which is the basics for any decision making. It's the basics for any decision making called as relevant costing. I'm going to start with this area. It will have 16 problems if you are using edition 3. Edition 4 can have something more or something less, but let's not worry about that. This is more of a reference book. We'll keep referring to this book only. For major chunk of my discussion, I'll be referring to a book which is yet to be printed and given to you. I'm again repeating, it yet to be printed and given to you. But if you are having volume 1 and volume 2, you will see those questions being there. The volume 1 and volume 2 will have those questions. Volume 1 and volume 2 will have question as well as answer. This book will have only questions. Only questions will be there. So I'm going to move to an area called as relevant costing now. I'll move to an area called as relevant costing. Okay, let's first understand what is relevant cost. Any decision I do, I will have to do decision on the basis of right inputs. It's like garbage in, garbage out. If your cost records are not right, if your costing records are not right, then you will end up making wrong decision. For example, in the current pandemic time, there were certain models which were used to forecast the number of cases, COVID cases which can come in the second wave, or the predictability of the second wave. There were a lot of models which were used. We get to know now in those models the inputs which was used was not accurate. Some of them, if you read about this, you'll understand. There's something called as predictions which the government had done. They had predicted that the maximum you will get is 1 lakh cases per day or 1,50,000 cases per day, but you end up getting now 4 lakh cases per day. So if the predictions were wrong because of a wrong input, or if you have used wrong input, you have used garbage, you have ended up getting a garbage output. And the kind of impact that has, because if someone had predicted that there are going to be 4 lakh cases per day, we could have tried doing something on the health infrastructure. At this point of time, the health infrastructure is under a lot of stress. A lot of states are finding it difficult to, some of you could have even experienced it personally, that the health infrastructure is going through a lot of stress at this point of time. Now what relevant costing says is, any decision you take, you should take on the basis of accurate costs. You should take it on the basis of accurate costs. If you are using wrong input, you will be making a wrong decision, and wrong decision in a corporate will lead to some financial losses. In fact, for India, because of wrong analysis, we have had lots and lots of issues, economic as well as social losses. So a lot of human losses have happened. So all those challenges India has been facing at this point of time, because of somewhere we couldn't predict this second wave properly. Now from a company point of view, what we are trying to understand is, the organization should try to make a decision on the basis of right cost. I'll give you an example. I'm planning to set up a factory. Don't even worry about my handwriting. Most of you will not understand it. Let's not worry about that. Planning to set up a factory. Before the factory, I am getting a market survey done. This market survey has cost me 10 lakh rupees. The market survey was done. The market survey has cost me 10 lakh rupees. After the survey was done, I got a report. The report said inflows, that is sales and all, PV of inflows will be some 40 crores. Outflow for this project is 39.95 crore. 5 lakh is the NPV. 5 lakh is the NPV. You will get inflow of 40 crores. Outflow for the project is 39.95 crore. This 39.95 crore, just a minute, 39.95 crore does not include this market survey of 10 lakh. It doesn't include this market survey of 10 lakh. So as of now, you have told that there is going to be benefit of 5 lakh. There's going to be benefit of 5 lakh. Expenses 39.95, which does not include this 10 lakh. Inflow is 40 crore. You say benefit is 5 lakh NPV. Positive NPV. Let's set up the factory. Positive NPV. Let's set up the factory. CFO came into picture. CFO said, wait, it's not 39.95. We are spending 40.05. We are spending 40.05. NPV is negative. We are spending 40.05. NPV is negative. Why should I do this project? Why should I do this project? So that's a discussion which is happening between the consultant and the CFO of the company. Now, I want you to tell me, is this market survey expense, is this market survey expense a relevant expenditure or an irrelevant expenditure? What according to you, is it a relevant expenditure or an irrelevant expenditure in deciding whether to set up a factory? I want participation. Right, wrong doesn't matter. You can participate. Let me know. Market survey 10 lakh, which is incurred to decide what kind of demand will be there. According to you, is it a relevant expenditure or an irrelevant expenditure, and reasoning?
Yes, sir. Sir, I feel
relevant expenditure, sir.
Sorry, one by one. Yeah, first somebody had made a point.
It's not a relevant.
irrelevant. Okay.
Irrelevant expense. Why?
So anyway, even if you're investing in the, whether you decide to invest in the factory or not, they already decided to undergo it. So even if you don't want to invest, also you're anyway going to incur this cost. Even if you decide to also invest in this factory, also you're still going to incur this cost. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's not relevant.
Okay, take it. So one answer I've got is irrelevant. Anyone, any other answer? I want participation. It becomes easier because live online I don't see you guys. So if you participate, it becomes easier for me to teach as well. Anyone else with any other point? Relevant, irrelevant? Yeah, friends, participation please. Any other answer? Okay, now I'll explain. See, the decision which we are taking is, let's assume I set up a factory. I set up a factory not to set up the factory. These are the two decisions I can take. I can decide to set up a factory. I can decide not to set up a factory. These are the only two decisions I can do. If I set up a factory, I will spend 39.95 crore. I will spend 10 lakhs, earn 40 crore, net loss 5 lakh. Net loss 5 lakh. If I set up a factory, 39.95 crore, 10 lakhs. If I don't set up a factory, I will spend 10 lakhs, net loss 10 lakhs. Just because I'm not setting up the factory, I cannot say the person who has given me that market survey report and tell him that I don't want to pay you. I have to pay him whether I set up a factory or I don't set up a factory. In simple words, this 10 lakh is technically called as a committed or a sunk cost and irrelevant for the purpose of decision making. Market survey related to the project, very much related to the project, but the problem is it's a historical cost. Technically called as a sunk cost. If you set up a factory, you will have a loss of 5 lakh. If you don't set up a factory, you will have loss of 10 lakh. Which is better, a loss of 5 lakh or loss of 10 lakh? Yeah, participate guys. I'll obviously go ahead with setting up a factory and incur a loss of 5 lakh. That's one way of understanding. The other way of understanding it is remove this 10 lakh. It's an irrelevant cost. Please don't bring this. So here net gain 5 lakhs. Not to set up factory, spend 0 and 0 NPV. Because the 10 lakh doesn't really matter. It's a sunk cost. The 10 lakh is a sunk cost. It doesn't really matter. It's a historical cost. Any doubts on this? Okay. I have booked a movie ticket. I have paid 200 rupees for the ticket. After booking the ticket, I get to know that I will not be able to go for the movie. Because of XYZ reason. You will not be able to go for the movie. What should be the minimum selling price if you want to sell this ticket? If you want to sell this ticket to a stranger, not to a friend and all. Friend is different thing, relative is different. If you are planning to sell this to a stranger, your movie ticket is 200 rupees cost. You want to sell this to a stranger. What should be the minimum price at which you need to sell? If you are if you have this movie ticket in hand with you, what is the price at which you would like to sell this?
200.
Let's assume somebody wants to give 190. If somebody wants to give 190, yeah, someone made a point here, please.
Minimum 200 I would expect to refuse.
Okay, you are expecting minimum 200, great. You kept on waiting because you wanted 200. Somebody is ready to pay 190. Somebody is ready to pay 190. Somebody is ready to pay 180, 170. It could be any number, okay? It could be any number, but you kept on waiting for 200. Nobody paid 200. The movie is it runs in the theater, and what will happen to the value of the ticket if the movie runs in the theater?
0.
The value will reach 0. In technically, the value of a movie ticket, once it is booked, is 0. Value of a movie ticket once it is booked is 0. In fact, logically, though practically I may not do this, if even somebody is giving me 1 rupee, I should technically sell the movie ticket. Otherwise, what will happen is it will reach 0 value. The movie ticket will reach 0 value at some point of time. at some point of time. So relevant costing will say the relevant cost of a movie ticket is 0 rupees. The relevant cost of a movie ticket is 0 rupees. Any doubts, tell this. The relevant cost of a movie ticket once it is booked is 0. It's not 200 rupees. It's not. In fact, if somebody is going to tell me that I have booked a movie ticket and I want to sell it, I'll not even want to know at what price he booked it, because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, if the movie is good, there's a lot of demand, you may get a good deal and sell it. Otherwise, if you have booked it for 200 and you're seeing in the market there are no takers for 200, go ahead and sell it at 180. Go ahead and sell it at 160. I'm not telling you to go ahead and sell it at 1 rupee or 2 rupee, but you should ideally sell it for 160 or 180, because you will not even get that 160 or 180 in few days. You will not get that 160 or 180. That's how critical relevant costing is. The criticality of relevant costing is it should push you to make a right decision. If you are, a lot of people will think that I bought it for 200, why should I sell it? I bought it for 200, why should I sell it for 190 and have a loss of 10 rupees? The person should understand that he is going to have a loss of 200 rupees in few days if he doesn't sell. He is going to have a loss of 200 rupees in few days if the movie ticket is not sold. You're going to have a loss of 200 rupees in few days if the movie ticket is not sold. Clear? Same example, movie ticket booked for rupees 200. But now what happens is, like you book your train ticket, the cinema theaters are giving you an option of cancellation. The multiplex is saying you can cancel your ticket. Cancellation charges rupees 40. You booked it for 200 rupees and cancellation charges are 40 rupees. If you want, you can sell it also, but otherwise you can cancel the movie ticket. You will cancel it for 40 rupees. The cinema theater will give you 160 rupees. The multiplex is ready to give you back 160, and maybe they will sell it to someone else. That's their headache. But now you have an option of cancel. In practical world, I don't have this option, but this a theater is announcing. I come to you, in the earlier example I said I want to buy it for 140, 130, 120. You were ready to sell because your relevant cost is 0. Can you tell me what is the minimum price at which you would like to sell the movie ticket now? Minimum price?
160.
160. Why 160?
Because on cancellation I can get 160 rupees.
Okay, done. So in simple words, relevant cost is basically the opportunity cost. Most of the times relevant cost is basically the opportunity cost. Earlier, the movie ticket, if you don't sell it, you can't do anything. If you don't sell it, the movie ticket, the other opportunity for that is 0 rupees. The movie ticket opportunity cost. Now, if you don't sell it, you can cancel and get 160 rupees. You can cancel and get 160 rupees. You can cancel and get 160 rupees. Always you will have to think, what is the available opportunity? If there is some opportunity available, great. If there's no opportunity available in hand, if I don't have any opportunity in hand, then I should take the relevant cost to be 0. You should see whether it's a sunk cost. All of this I'll keep introducing, I'll keep explaining, but this is the critical part. Whenever you are making a decision, don't get influenced by emotions. What is emotions? I bought it for 200. Why should I sell it for 180? Why should I make a loss? I bought it for 200. Why should I sell it for 180? That's called emotional decision. That is an emotional decision. Relevant costing will force you to make a rational decision. It will force you to make a rational decision. What is a rational decision? Selling it even for 1 rupee. Logically, yes, I'm telling you now also, if you have a movie ticket in hand and you are not in a position to go, and you cannot give it to any of your relatives also, or friends also, nothing is possible. Technically, you should be ready to sell it even for 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 30 rupees, whatever you get. If something doesn't have any value for you, So a lot of times what happens is, for example, many a times you may have certain old items in your home, or let's assume you have an old two-wheeler, or you have an old television at your home. You are planning to migrate to a new television, and when you are planning to sell your old television, if you don't get a sizable amount, you should not be bothered about it, because that old television doesn't have any worth for you at this point of time. It doesn't have any worth for you. Somebody who's buying it may see some value in it, and he's ready to pay you some 500 rupees, 1000 rupees, 2000 rupees, 3000 rupees, whatever makes sense. Fix it and move ahead. If certain items don't have any value to you, movie ticket, if I don't have an option of cancellation, has zero value for me. Movie ticket has zero value for me if I don't have an option of cancellation. Any doubts till now? Any doubts on what you're understanding what is relevant costing? The definition of a relevant cost is, relevant cost is basically a future cost, which will change between alternative course of action. What is alternative course of action? Setting up a factory, not setting up a factory. If you set up a factory, you incur market survey. If you don't set up a factory, you incur market survey. That's an irrelevant cost. If you set up a factory, you will incur 20 crores on land. If you don't set up a factory, you will not incur cost on land. Land is a relevant cost. A cost which will change between the alternative course of action. Then it's a relevant cost. If it's not going to change, if it's going to remain same, then it becomes an irrelevant cost. You will have to imagine two scenarios. In a yes scenario, what will happen? In a no scenario, what will happen? I'll explain this yes and no scenario as we do a problem. I'll keep explaining them, but we'll have to think about a yes and a no scenario and then decide. So relevant costing is basically a future cost which will change between the alternative course of action. It has to vary. If it's going to remain same for the alternative course of action, it is technically called as a committed cost or a sunk cost. What is committed, sunk and all, I'll keep discussing. Any doubts till now? Just give me a minute. Just a minute, I think pen has stopped writing. Just give me a minute. So I'll now first start with something called as relevant cost of material. It's covered in the volume 1 volume 2 book. There will be a theory component there. I'll maybe just take you to that page number. Not to the page number, I'll tell you the chapter. The page numbers can slightly vary. Come to chapter 6, decision making. Chapter 6. Some of you are not having the material as of now. I don't want you to worry about it. Mostly it should be page 287. Relevant cost is one which varies between alternative course of action, and there is a rule: all fixed costs are generally considered irrelevant and all variable costs are generally considered relevant. This is a general rule. All fixed cost like rent and all is an irrelevant cost, and all variable cost is generally considered to be relevant. It is generally considered to be relevant. This is a predetermined rule. Fixed costs are irrelevant, variable costs are relevant. In that, I'm going to start something called as relevant cost of material. I'm going to start with relevant cost of material. Listen for some time and then you can put this chart. This chart is also there in the book, but you can write this in some time. Relevant cost of material. The first question I'm going to ask is material in stock, material out of stock. I need some material to do the processing. You will see a scenario where, let's assume you want to do a project. For that project, you need 100 units of raw material. You need 100 units of raw material. Two options. You may have that 100 units of raw material, then this scenario, or this scenario if you do not have that material. If you do not have that material. Let me first analyze material out of stock. I'll first analyze material out of stock. In material out of stock, what will happen is project, two scenarios, yes, no. Yes means you're doing the project, no means you're not doing the project. Yes means you're doing the project, no means you're not doing the project. Yes, buy 100 units. No, no action. No means no action. I'm not going to do anything. Why will I do anything? Why will I do anything? Yes means buy 100 units. No means no action. No means no action. You need 100 units of material for a project. You need 100 units of material for a project, and that material is not available in stock. That material is not available in stock. So in a yes scenario, go ahead and buy 100 units. In a no scenario, take no action. Here, pay 5,000. Here, pay 0. In short, this 5,000 is relevant. This 5,000 is a relevant cost because it varies between the alternative course of action. It varies between the alternative course of action. If something varies between the alternative course of action, then it is a relevant cost. If it does not vary, then it's an irrelevant cost. Then it becomes an irrelevant cost. So the relevant cost for a material which is out of stock is replacement cost. What is replacement cost? Technically purchase price. The relevant cost is replacement cost if the material is not in stock. If the material is not in stock, the relevant cost is replacement cost. The relevant cost is replacement cost. Material in stock. Two situation: fast moving, slow moving, or regular use, irregular use. You need 100 units of raw material. It is there in stock. But it's a fast moving item. It's a fast moving item in the company. You need 100 units, but it's a slow moving item in the company. It's a slow moving item which is not regularly used by the company. Fast moving item is regularly used by the company. Project. Yes. No. Yes. No. I need 100 units of raw material. I need 100 units of raw material. I am seeing them in the company. I need 100 units of raw material. I see that it is available in the company. I see that it is available in the company and it's regularly used. Regularly used means it is being used for something else. Regular use would mean that it is going to be used for something else. A regular use basically indicates there is a purpose for this 100 units of raw material. You're going to put it for some use. You're going to put this for some use. What usage? I'm not sure as of now, but you're going to use these 100 units. You're going to use these 100 units. So you got the project. You have decided to the project. You want 100 units of raw material. Now listen. Use existing 100 units and immediately buy 100 units for other projects. Immediately buy 100 units for other projects. This is a regularly used material in the company. I want to use it for my project. I want to use it for my project. This is a regularly used product in the company. I want to use it for my project. So I request the storekeeper. I request the storekeeper, can you give me this material? He says this material is dedicated to project Y. It's dedicated to project Y. Project Y manager has asked for this material. I speak to project Y manager, say him that I want this material, can I use it? He says yes, but please give me 100 units by buying from the market. You can use this 100 units, but please buy 100 units from the market and give it to me. Please buy 100 units from the market and give it to me. Why should I buy? Because if I want to use it, I should immediately replace it also. I should immediately replace, because it's a fast moving item, regularly used by the company. You want to use it, use it. I don't have a problem. The guy is ready to allow me to use it. He is ready to allow me to use these 100 units, but he just put one condition: use and immediately buy. Use and immediately please buy. Immediately please buy 100 units. In a no scenario, use 100 units for other projects. Whatever projects it was to be used, they'll use it for that project. I may not buy it now. I may not buy it now. I'll buy it later. I'll may buy it later for other purposes, but I'll not immediately purchase anything. I'll not immediately purchase anything. So if you have a material which is in stock, and is a fast moving item, these 100 units were earlier purchased for 8 rupees. No use to me. These are historical numbers. I'm not interested in knowing it at what price you bought it. I'm not interested in knowing. If I do this project today, I'll be forced to buy 100 units at rupees 10. I'll be forced to buy as a company 100 units at rupees 10. Please imagine this properly. You have 100 units in the company which were purchased at 8 rupees. You can use it in the project, but relevant costing will say the relevant cost is not 8 rupees, the relevant cost is 10 rupees. Relevant costing will say it's not 8 rupees, it is 10 rupees, because you are forced to purchase the material. You are forced to purchase this material because you got a new project. You have got a new project, and because of that you are put under pressure. To buy a material. Be very clear on this. 100 units were purchased for 8 rupees in the past, but now if I do a project, I'll be using the material which has MRP of 8 rupees. Let's assume it has MRP of 8 and I'm using that material. But for decision making purpose, the relevant cost is 10 rupees. In short, if it's fast moving, relevant cost is again replacement cost. Relevant cost is again replacement cost. Logic is simple. You are going to use this material and immediately replace this material in the company. Immediately replace. Replacement cost is purchase price. Replacement cost is purchase price. Any doubts on this? In a fast moving item, I would be using material which is 8 rupees, but relevant costing will say relevant cost is 10. Relevant costing will say relevant cost is 10 rupees, which is the current purchase price. Any doubts? Clear? I move height. You have slow moving item. You have a slow moving item. A slow moving item which is not regularly used by the company. A slow moving item is something which is not regularly used by the company. If it's not regularly used by the company, the question will give you 2-3 extra information for a slow moving item. I'll discuss as we proceed. So it's a slow moving item. It's not regularly used by the company. Let's imagine a yes and no scenario. In a yes scenario, use 100 units for project. Use 100 units for project. Will you buy 100 units because you have used it? Would you buy another 100 units like a fast moving item? Would you buy 100 units? Participate. It's a slow moving item not used in the company. So you have used it for this project. After using in this project, will you buy 100 units?
You wouldn't buy immediately, I would say.
Okay. You wouldn't buy immediately. Would you be forced to buy? Would there be a need to buy?
Since it is slow moving, there wouldn't be any immediate need to buy it like fast moving item.
Okay, so there will not be an immediate need, and in fact most of the times there will not be a need itself. Because it's a slow moving, irregularly used material, there may not be any use of this. So in a slow moving material, what you will do is you will use 100 units for the project. That's all great. If you were not using it, you will sell 100 units at rupees 3 per unit. Sell 100 units at rupees 3 per unit. If you don't use it for this project, what was your plan was to sell these units and realize scrap value of 3 per unit. Realize scrap value of 3 per unit. Realize scrap value of 3 per unit. By doing the project, you lose the opportunity of selling it as scrap. You lose the opportunity of selling it as scrap. There's no other use of this. It's not like a fast moving material which can be regularly used by the company. It's not like a fast moving item which can be used by the company. So if it's a slow moving item, you can use it for the project, but you will lose the opportunity of selling it as scrap. Slow moving has multiple scenarios. I have just explained the first scenario. Sell as scrap. If that option was there, if the option of selling it as scrap was there, relevant cost is called realizable value. I'll show you this proper chart in some time. Relevant cost is realizable value. The worth of this material is basically only 3 rupees. See, same material, if you regularly use, it's worth 10 rupees. If you don't use, it's worth only 3 rupees. If you're regularly using it, it's worth 10 rupees because you have to go to the market and buy it at 10 rupees. You have to go to the market and buy it at 10 rupees. If you're not regularly using, it's only realizable value of 3 rupees. It's only realizable value of 3 rupees. A mobile phone, so not a mobile phone, any product, depending on what utility it has for me, the valuation can change. The valuation can change depending on the utility it has. Depending on the utility it has. So if there is utility for the product, if it's a fast moving item, I can say relevant cost is replacement cost. If it's not a fast moving item and I plan to sell it as scrap, the relevant cost is realizable value. There are other two things, I'll keep introducing it. So as of now I have done this relevant cost of material. In stock, out of stock is replacement cost. Fast moving, again replacement cost. Slow moving, can be sold, realizable value. Can be sold, realizable value. There is a proper chart in your material. You can just refer this, or you want to make notes, you can make it. This was one option. One option was a slow moving item sold as scrap. A slow moving item sold as scrap. There's a second option I have in hand. The second option is yes, no, use 100 units in project. If you don't do a project, use as a substitute. Use as a substitute of some other material. As a substitute of some other material. And save. Use as a substitute of some other material and save rupees. Use as a substitute of some other material and save rupees 5 per unit. Save rupees 5 per unit. Use as a substitute of some other material and save rupees 5 per unit. You'll understand this better when I do a question. As of now I'm introducing multiple things, so can be slightly difficult to absorb. Give me some time. As I proceed with the explanation, things will become clearer. It's a slow moving item. One option, you can sell it. If you use in the project, you lose the opportunity of selling. Relevant cost, realizable value. Second option, you can use it as a substitute. If you use in the project, you lose the opportunity of using it as a substitute. You lose the opportunity of using it as substitute. Relevant cost will become cost of the substitute. Relevant cost will become cost of the substitute. Relevant cost will become, if there is a substitute possibility, cost of substitute. Both options, there's something called as both option. It will be higher of 2. This I'll explain with the question. Can be slightly difficult to absorb now. Can be slightly difficult to absorb. What I want you to do is just put this chart in your notebook as of now. Relevant cost of material. So it's there in the book. Relevant cost of material. In stock, out of stock. This is there in page number 288. If it's edition 3, 288. Relevant cost of material. In stock, out of stock. In stock, out of stock. In stock, I ask a question, fast moving, slow moving. I'll obviously explain this little better when I do a question. Fast moving, slow moving. Fast moving, arrow mark down, replacement cost. Slow moving, you have 3 options and you have the relevant cost there. complete this chart. I'll explain some part of it when I do a question. It'll be easy for me to explain with certain numbers in place. After that also, if there are doubts, I'll take it up. And if there are doubts at this point of time also, I'm ready to take it up, but it'll be easy for you to absorb once we do one question. Easy to absorb. Okay, I hope you have written this. Anyone still writing, let me know. If you're writing this, please let me know. Most of you should have this PDF material. You need not look at the PDF material if you already have volume 1 and volume 2 with you. If you have volume 1 and volume 2, go to chapter 6. If you have volume 1 and volume 2, go to chapter 6. Come to question number part 6, relevant costing. In that, the first question, question 30. Question 30. If you have volume 1 and volume 2, please go to question 30. If you don't have volume 1 and volume 2 at this point of time, because the couriers wouldn't have reached you, then please refer the PDF which was sent. If some of you don't even have the PDF with you at this point of time, please refer in the screen itself. Please see the screen itself. I've shared the PDF in the group, but some of you were added later on, so I'll share the PDF again in the group. I'll read out the question. X Limited has been approached by a customer who would like a special job to be done for him and is willing to pay 22,000 for it. The job would require the following materials: material A, B, C and D, units required, units in stock, book value, realizable value, replacement cost. B is used regularly, and if stocks are required, they won't need to be replaced. C and D are in result of excess purchase and they have restricted use. No other use could be found for C, but D could be used in another job as a substitute. What are the relevant costs of the material in deciding whether or not to accept the contract? Assume all other expenses on this contract to be specifically incurred, not specially incurred, to be specifically incurred besides the relevant cost of material is 550. Go through the question. Yeah, any doubts? Someone has unmuted, so if you have a doubt, let me know. Okay, I'm going to start with the relevant cost statement. Initial class, you may, with material not being there, slight bit of challenge can be there. But if material is there, you will not find that challenge. So somehow you'll have to manage. Working note 1, relevant cost statement. Relevant cost statement. Relevant cost statement. Particulars, amount. Particulars and amount. particulars and amount, particulars and amount, material A in bracket note 1, material A in bracket note 1. Initial set of classes, I'll be giving detailed notes on explaining the treatment. In exam, these notes are not required. As long as you are able to explain quickly or able to do it correctly, doesn't matter. These notes are more for your understanding. In exam, these may not be needed. First question, is the material A in stock or out of stock? You can type or please let me know by unmuting. In stock or out of stock?
Out of stock.
Out of stock. Material A is not there in stock. Relevant cost is replacement cost. Simple logic. Relevant cost is replacement cost. Now come down. We need 1000 units of material A. You can write along with me. We need 1000 units of material A. 1000 units of material A for the project. Material A is not in stock. Is not in stock. And needs to be purchased. Is not in stock. Is not in stock and needs to be purchased. Relevant cost therefore is replacement cost. Relevant cost therefore is replacement cost. Relevant cost therefore is replacement cost. Relevant cost equal to 1000 units into rupees 6. 1000 units into rupees 6. Thousand into 6, rupees 6000. This is as far as material A is concerned. Then it comes to material B. I need 1000 units. I already have 600 in stock. So it's partly in stock, partly out of stock. Partly in stock, partly out of stock. For out of stock portion, relevant cost is replacement cost. For out of stock portion, relevant cost is replacement cost. For out of stock portion, relevant cost is replacement cost. For in stock portion, for units which are in stock, they are very clearly said they are required for other job, and if you use it, you will have to replace to meet other production demand. You will have to replace it to meet other production demand. Partly in stock, partly out of stock. Let's write material B. Any doubts? Note 2. Material B is partly in stock, in bracket 600 units, and partly out of stock. Partly in stock and partly out of stock. For the out of stock portion, for the out of stock portion, the relevant cost is replacement cost. 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 Replacement cost. Material B is regularly used and any usage of this material will need immediate replacement. One of you have unmuted. Can you please go on mute? It says learner, the name is not there. Any usage of this material will need immediate replacement, and hence relevant cost for units in stock will also be replacement cost. Total relevant cost is equal to 5,000. Total relevant cost is 5,000. Any doubts on this? Okay, I'll come to material C explanation now. Before that, I'm going to take a 5 minutes break. That's what I do. Around 7:30 I take a 5 minutes break. So we'll resume again by 7:32. It's a 5-minute break. You can keep your mobile aside and take some rest. Don't use your mobile. Let the class be on as it is. In 5 minutes I'll resume again. This is more because it is in the virtual mode. We are giving this 5 minutes break. So don't try to use mobile. Just take rest for 5 minutes. Okay, I'll resume now again. The small 5 minutes break is needed because there's a theory oriented and also because of virtual mode, so I give that break. We'll resume again now. We'll move to material C. Material C, we need 1000 units. We have 700 units in stock. We need 1000 units. We have 700 units in stock. For the out of stock portion, relevant cost is going to be replacement cost. In stock portion, I'll do the analysis, so you'll understand whatever I had done in that para, in that chart. You'll understand it now. Now, right? Material C. Material C. Note 3. Material C. Note 3. Material C. Any doubts? Is partly in stock and partly out of stock. Is partly in stock, partly out of stock. In stock and partly out of stock. For the out of stock portion, the relevant cost is replacement cost. For the out of stock portion, the relevant cost is replacement cost. The relevant cost is replacement cost. Now I have 700 units in stock. Question says material C and D are in stock as a result of previous excess purchase. As a result of previous excess purchase, and they have restricted use. No other use could be found for material C. Material C doesn't have any use. Material C does. I'll come to material D in some time. Material C doesn't have any use. So if you use these 700 units, company will be happy. Company will be very happy because I don't have any use of this. But if I'm not using this, I would have sold them for 2 rupees 50 paise. I would have sold them for 2 rupees 50. Same material C. Some units are worth 4 rupees and some units are worth 2 rupees 50 paise. Some units are worth 4 rupees and some units are worth 2 rupees 50 paise. It's the same material C. It's the same material C. Few units are valued 4 rupees. Few units are going to be valued 2 rupees 50 paise. Are going to be valued 2 rupees 50 paise. Material C. Material C. Material C is not regularly used. Is not regularly used. The company will lose the opportunity. Company will lose the opportunity. Will lose the opportunity of selling. Will lose the opportunity of selling 700 units at rupees 2.50 per unit. At rupees 2.50 per unit by using the same for this project. Whatever work has come, if I'm going to use it for this project, I'll lose the opportunity of selling 700 units at the rate of 2.5. I'll lose the opportunity of selling 700 units at the rate of 2.5 by using the same for this project. Lose the opportunity of selling 700 units at 2.50 per unit by using the same for this project. By using the same for this project. hence by using the same for this project, hence the relevant cost for these 700 units is rupees 1750 and total relevant cost is 2950. Total relevant cost is 2950. Total relevant cost is 2950. Any doubts on this? I'm just explaining the chart, whatever was there in the chart now with certain numbers, so it becomes easier to understand. It will become easier to understand. Whatever was there in the chart is what is getting explained. This explanation you need not write such detail in an exam from an exam point of view. This is more for your understanding. Any doubts? Next comes material D. I need 200 units. I have 200 units. I need 200 units. I have 200 units. Let's ignore the special job for the time being. Someone has unmuted. Can you go on mute or ask your doubt? There are 200 units. Let's ignore the project which we are going to do now. Let's ignore this project for the time being. What I can do with this 200 units is I can sell a scrap. I can sell a scrap and earn 200 into 6. I'm not analyzing this project itself for the time being. 200 units into 6, 1200. I can sell it as scrap and earn 1200. Or use this material D as a substitute for 300 units of E, which cost 5 per unit. 200 units of D will be a substitute for 300 units of E. 200 units of D will be a substitute for 300 units of E. Will be a substitute for 300 units of E. This 200 units of D is there in my stock. I can do two things with them. Ignoring the special job for the time being. Ignoring the special job, I can do two things. Sell 200 into 6, earn 1200. Or use as substitute 300 into 5, save 1500. Save 1500. You have 200 units of material with you. Ignoring the special job, I don't want you to bring the special job for the time being. You have 200 units of material. You can do two things with them. Earn 1200 or save 1500. How will you earn 1200? By selling it as scrap. How will you save 1500? By using it as a substitute. Either earn 1200 or save 1500. Earn 1200 or save 1500. Now ignoring the special job, what would you want to do with this 200 units? Would you want to earn 1200 or save 1500? What would you want to do?
Save 1500.
Save 1500. So whenever there is a slow moving item and if you have both options, then the relevant cost is the higher opportunity cost. The relevant cost is the higher opportunity cost. I don't lose the opportunity of selling it as scrap because that was never in my mind. In my mind it was very clear. I would want to use it as a substitute, save 1500. If I use it in this project, I lose the opportunity of using it as a substitute. I lose the opportunity of using it as a substitute. Any doubts? Now write material D is in stock. Material D is in stock. It is a slow moving item. It is a slow moving item. Slow moving item. Material D can be sold as scrap, and the company earns 1200. Sold as scrap and the company earns 1200. Earns 1200. Company earns 1200. It can also be used as a substitute. It can also be used as a substitute of material E, and the company can save 1500. And the company can save 1500. Company can save 1500. By using material D, for this special job, the company loses the opportunity of using it as substitute. And hence relevant cost is 1500. Cost of substitute. Technically it's higher of the two, or you can write it as higher of the two. This is what was there in the theory. Higher of 2. Relevant cost is 1500. Any doubts in this? $1,500. The questions recommended is what is the relevant cost of material in deciding whether or not to accept the contract. They have not asked us to make a decision and all. Let's add till this relevant cost of material. We have some other relevant cost also. Till now it is called relevant cost of material. Relevant cost of material. Relevant cost of material. Cost of material Then they have given there is some other relevant cost. All other expenses to be specifically incurred is some 550. Other relevant cost and total relevant cost of special job. Total relevant cost of special job. $16,000 is the overall relevant cost. 16,000 is the overall relevant cost. Shri Janani, can you please go on mute? Total relevant cost is 16,000. Any doubts on this? Clear? Can we proceed? This is what I had explained in that chart. We have done that chart, which is relevant cost of material. This part was explained with this question. Now if you still have a doubt in this chart, let me know. Anybody has any doubts on relevant cost of material? We'll again be touching upon as part of other questions, but any doubts as of now on relevant cost of material? Any doubts on relevant? Yeah.
I have a question, sir. Material D, you said it uses the substitute for material E, no, sir? So are we assuming that the material E is not even bought for making that product?
Are we bought for which product? Material E?
No, sir. You said material D can be used as a substitute for material E. Are we assuming that material E is not even bought first?
It is there in the question. No, there is no stock as at present. The
question, for material E, sir?
Yeah, question says na. One second.
Okay, sir. I didn't read it.
Yeah. Which currently, of which the company has no units in stock at the moment.
Okay, sir. I understood. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Otherwise,
okay,
otherwise I'll make an assumption that there is no stock and I need material E, because otherwise that information doesn't make any sense.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Sure. Any other doubt? Anyone else has a doubt? Okay. I'll move to now relevant cost of labor. Like we did relevant cost of material, I'll explain relevant cost of labor. We'll understand it better in a question then. Labor available, labor not available. So you need some people for the contract, you need some people for a work. Let's assume an audit has come, you need 10 article assistants for the audit, or some manufacturing processes to be done, you need some 20 laborers for that. Labor is available, not available are the two scenarios. Not available, relevant cost is wages payable. Wages payable, because you will recruit them and pay them wages. You will recruit them and pay them wages. Labor not available, you will recruit them and pay them wages. Labor is available, two scenarios. Busy, idle. I need some people for the work. These people are currently working on some other contract. They are termed busy. These people are sitting idle. They are not having any work. So the people who are needed for the contract may be having some work, may not be having some work. It could be of either of the scenario. Maybe they have some work. Maybe there is no work with them. There's no work. Let's analyze the idle part. Two scenarios. Can be terminated, cannot be terminated. First was labor available, not available. Not available, relevant cost, recruit, pay them wages. Labor is available, but these set of people are idle. These set of people are idle. Maybe I was expecting some work to come, so I have kept few employees in the company. I've kept few employees in the company as idle. In certain companies, it's easy to terminate an employee. In certain industries, it will become difficult to terminate an employee because of labor unions and all. Labor unions, they can be very strong. So it may become, for example, in the pandemic time, a lot of organizations tried terminating employees to reduce cost. But it's not so easy. In a PSU and all, they'll not terminate employees because the labor unions are very strong there. Labor unions are very strong. So you'll have to see whether can you terminate these people or you cannot terminate these people. Now, I'll explain this in detail now. I get a special job. Yes. No. Scenario is cannot be terminated. Okay. First I'm explaining cannot be terminated. The scenario which I'm explaining is cannot be terminated. The scenario which I'm explaining is cannot be terminated. So I get a special job. The special job has come. I need 20 employees. I need 20 employees for this special job. I look at in my company, there are 20 people who are sitting idle. There are 20 people who are sitting idle. I need 20 people and I find that 20 people are sitting idle. There are 20 people who are sitting idle. I need 20 people for the special job. Use 20 people in special job. Pay salaries. Use 20 people in this job and please pay them salaries. Use 20 people in the job, please pay them salaries. Assume you don't take up this work. You decided not to take up this work. You decided not to take up this work. These 20 people, can they be terminated or cannot be terminated is an important question I need to analyze. I am using these 20 people in the special job. I am paying them salaries. In a no scenario, 20 people will remain idle and pay salaries. 20 people will remain idle and you will have to pay them salary because you cannot terminate them. You cannot terminate them. If a special job comes, people are idle and they cannot be terminated. People are idle and they cannot be terminated because of labor union issues. Because of labor union issues, you cannot terminate them. You cannot terminate them. Just a minute. You cannot terminate them. Then the relevant cost is zero. The relevant cost is zero because whether you take up the special job or you don't take up the special job, you will have to continue to pay salary. You will have to continue to pay salary. Whether you take up the contract or you don't take up the contract, you will have to continue to pay salary. You'll have to continue to pay salary. Relevant cost is zero. Relevant cost is zero. Any doubts on this? Again same example, but now can be terminated. It can be terminated. Special job, yes, no. Use 20 people for special job. Use 20 people for special job. Pay salaries. 20 people will remain idle
terminate them, no salaries. If they are idle and I have an option of termination, I'll not keep waiting. I cannot endlessly keep waiting. If I have an option of termination, I'll go ahead and terminate them. I will go ahead and terminate them. I'll go ahead and terminate them. So in a yes scenario, we were using 20 people for special job. In a no scenario, 20 people will remain idle. In a yes scenario, you pay them salaries. In a no scenario, you terminate them, no salaries. Relevant cost is basically whatever salaries you are paying, because in a yes scenario you pay, in a no scenario you don't pay. So the relevant cost is salaries paid. The relevant cost is salaries paid. In simple words, in this scenario it is wages payable because it's a discretionary cost. What is discretionary cost? If I want, I can avoid this. Whereas in the other scenario, it's a committed cost. Committed costs are considered to be irrelevant. It's a committed cost. Whether you take up the contract, you don't take up the contract, you tell people to work, you tell people to remain idle, you will have to pay them salary. It's a committed cost. Relevant cost will become 0. In this scenario, relevant cost will become wages payable. Relevant cost will become wages payable. Any doubts till now? If you have a flexibility of terminating them, relevant cost is wages payable. If you don't have that flexibility, relevant cost is 0. If you don't have that flexibility, relevant cost is 0. Any doubts till now? Anybody has any doubts? Then busy can be substituted, cannot be substituted. These are the set of questions we ask. Can be substituted, cannot be substituted. Can be substituted, cannot be substituted. I'll first analyze the can be substituted part. Can be substituted part. What is can be substituted? See, I have got this special job. I need manager A for this, who's paid a salary of 50,000. I need manager A for this contract, who is paid a salary of 50,000. Manager A is currently working on some other project. Manager A is currently working on some other project, but the problem for me is that this contract can only be executed by manager A. No one else can do this. I want only manager A to work on this contract. Manager A is currently paid a salary of 50,000. Is currently paid a salary of 50,000. He is currently working on a contract. He is currently working on a contract. He is doing some work. I want him to work on this contract. I find that this guy can be substituted by manager B, who's paid 40,000. He is working in job 1. This guy is available in the company, or you can say you're recruiting him. You're recruiting him. You have got job 2. You have got a job 2. Job 2 needs the services of manager A. So it falls under the scenario of labor is available. Manager A is busy because he is working on job 1. But he can be substituted by manager B. He can be substituted by manager B. Now listen. Special job. Yes. No. In yes scenario, manager A will do special job. Manager A will do special job. Manager B will do job 1. there is a job 1 which is there. This manager 2 will substitute this manager A and do job 1 and do job 1. Manager A will do the special job. Manager B will do the job 1. In a no scenario, manager A will continue to do job 1. Again, please visualize the scenario. Just a minute. Hello. Second floor. Krishna building தான வந்திருக்கீங்க? இல்ல கிருஷ்ணா புடி நாங்க பாருங்க 8/7. கிருஷ்ணா புடி போடுறோம். Sorry about it, I had to take a call. Manager A will do special job. See, I have got a special job. I need the services of manager A. Manager A is currently working on job 1. This job needs the services of manager A. Special job also needs the services of manager A. Obviously he cannot work on 2 jobs at a time, so we find a substitute for manager A. We could find a substitute, and this guy is ready to take up job 1. In a yes scenario, I'll be paying 50,000 plus 40,000. In a no scenario, I'll pay only 40,000. Sorry, I'll pay only 50,000. Manager A, I'll pay only 50,000. In a yes scenario, I'll have to pay 50 plus 40. In a no scenario, I'll pay only 50,000. Relevant cost is the difference, which is 40,000, technically called as cost of substitute. The relevant cost is, if you have a substitute opportunity, relevant cost is cost of substitute, because whenever there is a substitute possibility, in simple words it's like this: if you have a substitute possibility, you can take this guy for this contract, bring in a substitute person and pay him salary. Bring a substitute person and pay that guy salaries. Bring a substitute person and pay salaries to that person. So when you are paying salaries to that person, the relevant cost is cost of the substitute. Cost of substitute. This is basically the extra cost I'll incur. Cost of substitute. If a person is busy and I force him to work on my contract, he will be ready to work, but I have to recruit someone. For that, you will have to pay salary. That is called as cost of substitute. Cannot be substituted. I'll explain with a question, otherwise it will become slightly difficult for you to absorb at this time. You can just write it as lost contribution plus wages payable. But I'll explain this when I do a problem. It will be difficult to absorb at this point of time, so you can just write this. I'll be back in a minute. You keep writing this. I hope you have noted this. Relevant cost of labor, available, not available. So it's there in the material, but I still want you to write it. Not available, wages payable, simple. Available, busy, idle. If you can terminate them, wages payable. If you cannot terminate, 0. If you can substitute, cost of substitute. If you cannot substitute, loss contribution plus wages payable. Clear? I'll proceed to the problem on this so that you understand it better. Let's come to question 31. A work requires 100 grade A workers and 100 grade B workers for a contract for a month. Monthly salary is 10,000 for grade A, 20,000 for grade B. Calculate the relevant cost in the following scenarios. Labor is presently not available, has to be recruited. Let's go scenario by scenario. First scenario is labor is not available, has to be specifically recruited for this contract. Very simple. Labor not available, relevant cost is wages payable. If they are not available, it's very simple. Labor is not available, relevant cost will be, simply will take it as your wages payable. So let's start. Question 31. Scenario A. Scenario A. Labor is not available. Labor is not available. Is not available. And hence has to be specifically recruited. Has to be specifically recruited for the contract. Specifically recruited for the contract. Relevant cost in this scenario. Relevant cost in this scenario will be wages payable. Relevant cost in this scenario will be wages payable. Will be wages payable. Wages payable. Relevant cost equal to 100 grade A workers into 10,000 plus 100 grade B workers into 20,000. 100 into 10,000 plus 100 into 20,000. 100 grade A workers into 10,000 plus 100 grade B workers into 20,000. This is a very simple scenario. 30 lakhs. Okay, coming to the scenario B. Labor force is always moved from job to job depending on the urgency. It is likely that the above job, if accepted, will have to be done by grade A workers alone. Labor force is always moved from job to job depending on the urgency. It is likely that the above job, if accepted, will have to be done by grade A workers alone. Now listen, moving from job to job depending on the urgency can be interpreted in two ways. Moving from job to job depending on the urgency can be interpreted in two different ways, and I'll tell you what was ICI's interpretation. Moving from job to job depending on the urgency would mean I have good number of people in the organization, and I'll keep shuffling, I'll keep moving them from one job to the other job. I have good number of people in the organization, and I'll keep moving them from one job to another job as and when a requirement comes. I'll keep moving them from one job to another job as and when a requirement comes. Technically it would be interpreted as labor is idle. It would be interpreted as labor is idle. You'll keep moving them from one job to job if at all work comes. If there's no work comes, I'll keep allowing them to be idle, or I'll keep allowing them to work on some job. The second interpretation could be is that there is so much of work in the organization that I have to keep moving people from one job to another job. So technically they are busy. I'll have to keep moving them from one job to another job, because as and when I keep getting work, I'll keep moving them from one job to another job. ICI has interpreted this to be labor moving from job to job depending on the urgency as idle labor, as idle. And if the job is accepted, it will have to be done by grade A workers alone, is of no use to me. The interpretation is, it will be interpreted that labor moving from job to job will be interpreted as idle labor. Grade A workers doing most of the work is interpreted because maybe I have more grade A workers idle. I have surplus grade A workers. I need idle people, and idle workforce could be from grade A. Now let's first write the explanation, then I take your question if you have. Scenario B. Labor force can move from job to job depending on urgency. This would be interpreted as having idle workforce, the work will be predominantly done by grade A workers. This could be because we have higher idle grade A workforce. It is assumed that workers cannot be terminated. And hence relevant cost is 0. Workers cannot be terminated, and hence relevant cost is 0. I cannot take an assumption of workers can be terminated that the question has to give. Normal assumption is workers cannot be terminated. That's a normal assumption. Now let me know if you have a doubt in the interpretation of this. Do let me know if you have any doubts in interpreting this. Okay, scenario C. Grade A workers have to be additionally recruited. Grade B workers are extremely busy and are currently earning a contribution of 3 rupees 20 paise per rupee of direct wages. Grade A workers have to be additionally recruited. That's simple. Grade B is something on busy side. I'll explain grade B as we proceed. Let's complete grade A. Grade A, I'll have to recruit them. They are not available. They are not available. So relevant cost is wages payable. Grade B is on the busy side. I'll explain as we proceed. Grade A workers are not available and hence have to be recruited relevant cost equal to wages payable. Relevant cost is equal to wages payable. Relevant cost is equal to wages payable. Wages payable. Now comes to the busy side of it, which I did not explain earlier. I said I'll explain now. See, I get a special job. I need manager A to work on this contract. Manager A will work on special job. Manager A will work on special job. Manager A was currently doing some other work, in the company. I said, we have got a special job. Can you shift to special job? He shifted to special job. There was some other work which was going on. Now that work cannot be done itself because there is no manager A and he cannot be substituted. Manager A is a busy person and he cannot be substituted. Manager A will work on job 1. By forcing manager A to work on this, you lose the opportunity of earning profits from job 1. You lose the opportunity of earning profits from job 1. You are going to shift manager A to the special job. You're going to shift manager A to the special job. Manager A was currently working on job 1, was doing his work properly, everything was going on smoothly. Now suddenly you stop the job 1 itself. You say, let's stop it, let's stop this job 1. Job 1 was giving you revenue of 2 lakh. It had variable cost of 50,000. Just imaginary numbers to explain the concept. It had labor cost of 20,000. It was earning company 1,30,000. This side, I will not have this revenue. I will not have this variable cost. I'll continue to have this labor cost. But I'll not have the revenue, I'll not have the variable cost. I will not have the variable cost. He was doing that special job. He was doing the job 1. So this revenue I'm going to lose. This variable cost I'm going to save. Labor cost will continue to be incurred. So this side I incur 20,000. Earn 1,30,000. So you're losing 1,30,000. That's one part of it. You're also incurring 20,000. Relevant cost is yes minus no. Relevant cost is always yes minus no. I'll explain again. I need manager A for the contract. Manager A is there in the company, Manager A is there in the company. He is currently busy with some other work. He is currently busy with some other work. In that work, he was earning 2 lakh rupees for the company. He was earning 2 lakh rupees for the company. He was spending 50,000 as variable cost. 20,000 was his own salary and was giving an earning of 1 lakh 30. Now you're going to spend 20,000, but you don't earn that 2 lakh, you don't earn that 50,000. So indirectly, manager's worth is 20,000 minus of minus 1 lakh 30. 1 lakh 50,000 is the relevant cost, which is nothing but lost contribution plus wages payable. Lost contribution of 1 lakh 30, wages payable of 20, that's the relevant cost. 130 plus 20, 150 is the relevant cost. Any doubts? You want me to explain again? Do let me know. Anywhere you want me to explain again, please let me know. Okay. Yeah.
What is the 20,000?
20,000 is his own labor cost. So manager A's salary is 20,000 in this example. Okay, now right, grade B workers. Yeah, sorry.
Sir, we are considering this 20,000 in both the cases.
Correct.
So isn't it like double counting it?
Okay, so you came to a very good question. So let's assume I ignore this 20,000, which is right way of doing. Then I should write contribution as 150. So when you calculate contribution, if you are not subtracting 20,000, when you're calculating contribution, if you're not subtracting 20,000, then you need not add back 20,000, because ideally, logically, what you said is correct. This 20,000 is an irrelevant number. This 20,000 is an irrelevant number. I should not subtract 20,000, but in a normal costing, when you calculate contribution, you subtract variable cost. So you would have subtracted this 20,000. If you have not subtracted, no need to add it back. Clear?
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
So now write grade B workers are available, busy, and cannot be substituted. General assumption is cannot be substituted. If they can be substituted, question has to give. Busy and cannot be substituted. Cannot be substituted. Available, busy, and cannot be substituted. Relevant cost in this scenario is lost contribution plus wages payable. If while calculating contribution you don't subtract wages, then you need not add back wages again. While calculating contribution, if you have not subtracted wages, then no need to add it back also. The issue is in normal cost accounting, you will subtract wages, so please add it back. Grade B workers are paid salaries of rupees 20,000. Paid salaries of rupees 20,000. They are currently earning rupees 3.20 of contribution. Rupees 3.20 of contribution for every 1 rupee of wages. They are currently earning 3.20 of contribution for every 1 rupee of wages. For every 1 rupee of wages. for every 1 rupee of wages. Hence they would be earning rupees 64,000 of contribution, for their salary of rupees 20,000. 1 rupee you earn 3.2, 20,000 you will earn 64,000. They would be earning rupees 64,000 of contribution for their salary of 20,000. For their salary of 20,000. For their salary of 20,000. Their salary of 20,000. Relevant cost of one labor or one employee is equal to lost contribution plus wages payable. 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 Any doubts on this? How I got 64,000? Any doubts? Anything you want me to explain again? If things are not clear, please let me know then and there. Relevant cost of 100 employees equal to and total relevant. Yeah, any doubt? Total relevant cost is equal to Vidya, can you please go on mute or ask your doubt? 10 lakh plus 84 lakh, 94 lakh. Any doubts on this? These were the scenarios I had. Relevant cost of labor, available, not available. Okay, available and not available. These were the scenarios. Labor available, not available. Not available, relevant cost, wages payable. Available, busy, idle. If they are busy, can be substituted, cannot be substituted. Can be substituted, cost of the substitute. Cannot be substituted, loss contribution plus wages payable. On the other side, they are idle, then we do it as can be terminated, cannot be terminated. Can be terminated, relevant cost is wages payable. Cannot be terminated, relevant cost is 0. Cannot be terminated, relevant cost is 0. Any doubts on this? Okay, let's move to question 32. A company accepts a 1-year contract which will require 4 skilled employees. These 4 skilled employees could be recruited on a 1-year contract at a cost of 40,000. The employees would be supervised by an existing manager who will earn 60,000. Supervision would take 10% of his time. Instead of recruiting new employees, you can also retrain existing employees who currently earn 30,000. The training cost would be 15,000, and if these employees were used, they would need to be replaced at a cost of 1 lakh. Calculate the relevant cost. Go through the question. This is a very good question on labor costing. Go through this. Okay, I am going to do a 1-year contract. I need 4 skilled employees. These 4 skilled employees can be recruited. So one option is they are not available in the company. You recruit them, relevant cost is wages payable. The other option is you retrain some of the existing employees, which means you can bifurcate into 2 scenarios. One is labor not available. That's one option. Second option is labor is available and they are busy and they can be substituted, because it says instead of recruiting new employees, you can retrain some of the existing employees, which means labor is available. They are currently busy with something. So you retrain some of the existing employees and substitute them with a new employee at a cost of some number they have given. Substitute them with new employee at a cost of something given, which is the relevant cost. Let's write this. The company needs 4 employees, needs 4 skilled employees for 1 year. They can either go for recruitment option, or retraining of existing employees, They can either go for recruitment option or retraining of existing employees. Analysis of recruitment option. I'll first analyze in a chart and then I'll give you points to write. Listen for some time. You do the contract, you recruit them. You don't do the contract, you don't recruit them. You do the contract, you will recruit them. You don't do the contract, you will not recruit them. If you are recruiting them, you'll have to pay salary of 40,000 per employee for a 1-year contract. They say 4 skilled employees for a 1-year contract. So in a scenario, pay this side, pay 0, pay 1,60,000, pay 0. See, if you recruit the employees, you pay them 1,60,000. If you don't recruit them, you will not pay them anything. You will not pay. If you are taking up the contract, pay 160. If you recruit them, you will have to use the services of an existing manager who is earning 60,000 per annum. It's expected that supervision will take 10% of the manager's time. Ignore this 10% data as of now. If you recruit, you will need this manager to supervise these people. If you don't recruit, you will still need this manager because he is going to supervise some other work. This manager will be needed if you recruit these 4 employees. Manager will spend 10% of his time on these 4 employees. If you don't recruit, manager will spend 100% of his time on some other work. So in a yes scenario, pay 60,000 to manager. In a no scenario, pay 60,000 to the manager. Any doubts on this? In a yes scenario, pay 60,000 to the manager. In a no scenario, pay 60,000 to the manager. This is an irrelevant committed cost. If they had said, if you recruit these people, you will have to pay the manager 70,000. or 80,000, something extra. Something extra means that is relevant. Here, if you recruit these 4 people, you'll have to pay 60,000 to the manager. If you don't recruit these 4 people, you'll have to still pay 60,000. In a yes scenario, my total is 2,20,000. In a no scenario, my total is 60,000. Relevant cost is yes minus no, 1,60,000. So recruitment option, the relevant cost is 1,60,000. Recruitment option, the relevant cost is 1,60,000. Any doubts on this? You put this thing. Recruitment yes, no. Recruitment yes, no. Pay 1,60,000, pay 0. 160, pay 0. 1,60,000 and pay 0. Pay 60,000 in both the sites. Pay 60,000 in both sites. Relevant cost is 220 minus 60. 220 minus 60. 2,20,000 minus 60. 1,60,000 is the relevant cost. 1,60,000 is the relevant cost. $160 is the relevant cost. $160,000. $160,000 is the relevant cost. I hope this is clear. Now write 4 employees need to be recruited. And we have to pay rupees 1,60,000. We have to pay rupees 1,60,000. We have to pay rupees 1,60,000. This is an incremental cost. This is an incremental cost and hence relevant. This is an incremental cost and hence relevant. Manager will be paid rupees 60,000. Will be paid rupees 60,000 even if workers are not recruited. Even if workers are not recruited. Even if workers are not recruited. No incremental cost. No incremental cost. The 10% and all is of no use. 10% doesn't mean we'll have to put 6,000. No incremental cost and hence irrelevant. And hence irrelevant. Relevant cost of recruitment option is $1,60,000. Relevant cost of recruitment option is $1,60,000. This is one choice. I can go for recruitment if I want. In recruitment, I'll spend 1,60,000. Recruitment, I'll spend 1,60,000. Analysis of retraining. Analysis of retraining. instead of recruiting new employees, I can retrain some of the existing employees who currently earn 30,000. Training cost would be 15,000. If these employees were used, they would be replaced at a cost of 1 lakh. So point number A, existing employees are paid rupees 30,000 per person. Existing employees are paid rupees 30,000 per person. We can use them. We can use them. You'll have to visualize. If important thing is, you'll have to look at like a story. We can use them for this contract. We can use them for this contract. If we use them for this contract, they will have to be replaced. They will have to be replaced with other employees. They will have to be replaced with other employees who would be paid rupees 1 lakh. Who would be paid rupees 1 lakh. Who would be paid rupees 1 lakh. This is the reality. I've just written a sentence which is what is going to happen. Existing employee cost of rupees 1 lakh 20. Existing employee cost of rupees 1 lakh 20 will be incurred even if the special job is not taken. See, this 1 lakh 20 I'll continue to incur whether I take up the special job or I don't take up the special job, even if the special job is not taken. Hence this is irrelevant. This is irrelevant. What is the additional cost I'll incur is we will incur incremental. What are you additionally incurring? You'll have to always see that. We will incur incremental rupees 1 lakh on new employees. And hence this is relevant. We will basically cost of substitute. In simple words, I can say labor is available, busy and can be substituted. Relevant cost is cost of the substitute of 1 lakh. That's a simple explanation. Labor is available, busy, can be substituted. Relevant cost is cost of the substitute, which is 1 lakh. Is this training 15,000 relevant or irrelevant? Think and let me know. Training 15,000 relevant or irrelevant? I want you to imagine yes, no and tell me, is it relevant, irrelevant? Participate, please.
Relevant, sir.
Why relevant?
Because if we plan not to use those employees, we will not be incurring those training costs, right?
Correct. So it's an avoidable cost. Now write training cost of rupees 15,000 will be incurred only if we retrain employees. Only if we retrain employees. Hence this is relevant. Relevant cost of retraining option is equal to $1,15,000. Retraining option is 1,15,000. I'll put this in a yes and no scenario also. Just give me a minute. 1,15,000. Now listen. I'll do this like this. Retraining. Yes. No. Pay 1,20,000. You are not retraining. Pay 1,20,000. If you are going for retraining, you need substitute employees. Pay 1 lakh. No retraining, no payment. Incur 15,000 on training. Incur 0. Yes side total is 2,35,000. No side total is 1,20,000. Yes minus no, 1,15,000 is relevant. S minus no, 1,15,000 is relevant. Any doubts on this? Okay. Now finally write the company would go for retraining of existing employees. Would go for retraining of existing employees, and hence relevant cost is 1,15,000. I'll obviously go for retraining. Why will I recruit people? I'll obviously go for retraining. I'll not recruit people. I'll go for retraining. Relevant cost is 1,15,000. Just wait for him. Just give me a minute. I just need to do one more thing and I'll end the session then. So this is what we have done in this question. The answers are there. Everything answers will be there. I would obviously prefer you not to look at the solution, and you will always write along with me. You will have to make notes along with me. I don't want you to look at the answers. Answers will be there for every question, but I would obviously expect you to do it along with me. And one more thing which I want to just explain. Every question we do, I have made something called a summary of adjustments at the end of the chapter. In volume 1, volume 2, you will see those summary of adjustment. For example, question 30 we did. These are the learnings from that. Relevant cost of out of stock material is replacement cost. Relevant cost for a regularly used material is replacement cost. Relevant cost for a slow moving item can be sold, sale value. Can be used as a substitute, cost of the substitute. Both option higher of sale value. Question number 32. Relevant cost of labor which is currently unavailable is wages payable. Relevant cost for a labor which is available can be idle. Labor can be idle, cannot be terminated, 0. Can be terminated, wages payable. And also labor force can move from job to job depending on urgency, would indicate that labor is currently idle. This was the major learning from that question, so I have mentioned it separately. Similarly, anything which is learnt from question 32 is kept here. So what you need to do is, every question I have made general summary of adjustments in your volume 1 and volume 2 book. You can go through this and add extra points if you are learning something out of it, because day before exam you will not be in a position to revise all question. you will just revise the summary of adjustment, and that will take care of your exams. You will just revise the summary of adjustment and the theory portion, and you will confidently be able to write the exams. I'll end the session with this. If somebody wants to make a point, you can let me know, or you have some suggestion, you can send me a WhatsApp message as well. So I'll end the session now.